Welcome to NBA Today with Malika Andrews, live from Los Angeles.
Today, it is one of the best days of the NBA season because over the next hour, we're going to take you all access behind the scenes and inside tonight's Cavaliers and Pistons matchup, including we have an exclusive interview with Cavaliers head coach Kenny Atkinson. We're going to discuss the impact of James Harden and his availability with that broken thumb. Plus, Michael Malone, he caught up with Pistons coach J.B. Bickerstaff. They went in the film room, two coaches pouring over some tape. Yeah, I can't wait for that. And speaking of the Pistons, all-star Jalen Duren unplugged in his own words. He's going to tell us why Detroit is ready right now to shock the world. And tonight, two of the top four teams in the East, they square off. This is a potential playoff matchup here. The Pistons, they lead the conference by 5.5 games. The Cavaliers, as you can see, they sit right here in fourth. And then the second game of two, our Friday doubleheader here on ESPN, it features the Thunder and the Nuggets. That is another 1 versus 4 matchup. Denver sits 7.5 games behind the defending champs in the standings going into this evening. And the defending champs, friends, they're getting a boost tonight, which is our top story. Reigning MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off of the injury report, and he has been cleared to return after missing the last 9 games with that abdominal strain. The Thunder, they have gone 5-4 since SGA went out, and you can see him right here today at shoot-around, getting some shots up. Here with our senior writer, Brian Windhorst, our do-it-all analyst, Chiney Ogumake. First of all, we have an excellent slate of games, but SGA is back here, Brian. What does this do for OKC?
Well, in case you forgot, he averages 32 points a game and shoots about 56%, which is pretty good considering he's a guard. And by the way, the Thunder basically have won 80% of the games he's played this year. So that's a significant boost for a team that's playing another MVP candidate in Jokic tonight. So, look, the Thunder, I feel like, have actually played relatively well during this stretch. They've gotten some of their, end-of-rotation guys to get some momentum. Casey Wallace has 3 straight 20-point games. But they took some losses because they've had some tough games here. And, look, the number 1 seed ain't nothing. And, they're right on, the Spurs are right on their heels. And so Shai is back to restore order.
Wendy, Malika, what comes with da-na-na-na? What's the word?
Da-na-na-na-na. It's the final countdown.
It's the final countdown. We're approaching the final quarter of the season. And I love how not only do these games matter for these teams, but it's also for the players. And he's still trying to solidify his MVP case.
That is true.
And so I have this game circled because it's a matchup of head-to-head MVPs.
Right.
And Oklahoma City, you talk about how they were able to, keep the boat afloat. It's largely because going into All-Star break, their question mark was three-point shooting. Mm-hmm. They addressed it. Without Shai, they actually shot, I think, the second or third best three-point percentage. So they found their stroke. Now they get their MVP back. Their defense has been consistent. It's got to be a good feeling in Oklahoma City.
I love that also he's coming back against the Denver Nuggets. He's not choosing some sort of soft landing. Exactly. He's saying, I see your 3-time MVP. I raise you the most recent one. When we look back at last season, I think about that series that these two played. And Nikola Jokic doesn't want to hear it, by the way. I asked him about, you guys were this close to being the team that beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he said, yeah, but we didn't. How close do you think that gap is between these two?
A couple of weeks ago, before Jokic got hurt the first time, I thought that the Nuggets were in great position.
But since?
He just hasn't quite been the same. His numbers are very good. Like, you look at his numbers and you say, oh, my God, they're still MVP numbers. But shooting percentage has just gone down a little bit. His turnovers have gone up. The other night, they did get a nice win over Boston. He missed 17 shots in that game. He did get his turnovers down in that game. So the other thing is, without Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson, their defense has really suffered, and so they kind of need him to be even more efficient. And instead, he's been a little bit less efficient. And now that I've said all these things, he'll probably have a 40-point triple-double.
Right. I actually wanted to go back to that box score because you mentioned him as 17 shots. He was 11 for 28. That stood out to me. Jokic never really wants to take 28 shots in a game.
Only 6 assists.
But he's willing to because the next leading scorer after him had 11 or 12 points. And so that's why in this matchup, I'm so excited because we might get one of those. He's shooting the ball 30 times.
Right.
It's truly head-on-head MVP.
One thing about tonight, Jamal Murray left the game against Boston with an illness. He is in Oklahoma City. We'll see how he feels tonight. I wouldn't expect him to be 100%.
Yeah.
But that even puts it more on Jokic. And this is the healthiest the Thunder have been. The Thunder will only have 2 players on their injury report tonight, Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell. Everybody else is going to be ready to go.
2 huge pieces for the Oklahoma City Thunder who are trying to get right at the right time and hold on to that top spot, especially because, can you hear them? You hear that? The San Antonio
I was
Spurs.
like, what noise is a Spur make?
Yeah, they are coming.
The jingles and jangles.
Yeehaw's on their way to a 10-game winning streak,
like that.
which they took to Brooklyn. And sorry, Nets, kept the pedal to the metal. First quarter here. Porter Jr. trying to go for the slam, but when Wemby is there, that is just going to be a casual.
Noise and just continue trying to play the winning basketball we have.
I think about like odds.
Just the favorites to get out of the West, or one of the favorite teams to get out of the West.
I mean, you're the first one to tell me about it, so block out that noise, I guess. Can you take away his mic?
So Wemby's starting to lean in a little bit, starting to recognize a little bit and say to the world just a bit, yeah, we kind of know where we are.
He's not shy.
But have you learned something that you didn't know about this team before this streak?
Yes, because they've been a number 1 or number 2 defensive team the whole year.
Okay.
But what they've done on this streak, which by the way has been all on the road, this is their rodeo road trip. When they won all those championships with Popovich,
That's
the
why we said
rodeo road
yeehaw.
trip was, there you go. The rodeo road trip was always where they crystallized. We saw that year after year in the Pop era. So during this 11-game win streak, they're the number 2 offensive team. They got 7 guys in this win streak that are averaging in double figures. All of them, Shanae, are in their 20s. And the oldest one is De'Aaron Fox, who's 28. Champagnie, most of them are under 25. Champagnie last night had a career high. He's 24. So not only are they formidable for the future, I've just come to terms with the fact they're formidable in the present.
Yep.
You said that Wemby says he doesn't need to be pushed. We all see that. We all experience that. What's kind of funny is I learned that personally because for a long time my Instagram bio, yes, my Instagram bio was tougher than Nigerian hair because obviously, but I just changed it for the first time in almost a decade, and it says I beat Victor Wembanyama in 2K. And when I saw him for the first time in a while since we did our commercial, he walked up to me, didn't even say hi, hello. He's always friendly, right? He says, "I'm gonna bust your ass," and I said, "Oh my gosh, like we're taking this seriously." And obviously it was in fun and jest, but that is his mentality when it comes to video games. Can you imagine what his mentality is when it comes to games? And then the second question I said is, how are you doing? He said, it finally feels good to win and to really win. And that's when I knew he does not need motivation. He does not need validation. All he needs are results. And during the time where they're 11-0, he averaged 23-11. He has been leading by example on top of like the 4 blocks. So yeah, he takes everything personally, and it brings out the best in his squad.
And then you look at this, Janae, he's going to have to take this schedule personally because it's tough, right? Over the next 14 games, they face 5 of the NBA's top 7 teams. By the way, none of what I'm saying right now scares the Spurs or Victor Wembanyama, but their other 2 games in that span are at 76ers, and then they're at home against the Clippers, but it is the second night of a back-to-back. We mentioned going to the Garden up next. Well, Wemby shows up when the lights are bright on Broadway. This is Christmas 2024, the last time he was in the Garden. He had a game-high 42 points, 18 rebounds, 4 blocks, 4 assists. It was a 3-point loss to the Knicks, but a heck of a stat line there for
Can't
Victor
forget that.
Wembanyama. How long's the streak going, Brian? To get past this weekend?
If they get past this weekend, then they go home and they get to play a bunch of home games.
There you go. Hey, where were you when Steph hit the bang, bang? Oh, what a shot from Curry. Well, you don't need to listen to my poor Mike Breen impression. We relived the most iconic shot in regular season history. And speaking of snipers, Con Knipple, he set a rookie record last night. Can he lead the up-and-coming Hornets out of play-in territory? Remember when we were only talking about them making it to the play-in? Plus, ahead of tonight's All Access,